I modified everything. I changed everything. The 1st of December, I cast on the Wanderer pullover part 1. I posted a few videos about the progress up until the 22nd of December, and I had my partner try it on. I gave it to him for Christmas and it was too small. So this is my second attempt at knitting the Wanderer pullover, this time with my partner's full cooperation. I have had him try everything on, and this is how it went. For the original pullover, I think I cast on 230 something stitches, but that meant that I still had lost 4 stitches or something in the seaming. So for this version, I cast on 240 stitches. That is not a size that it's given in the pattern, but I made that a size because I'm going to keep the same proportions for the sweater that are given in the pattern, but this time I'm working it round. So this Wanderer pullover at last can be shown in the open can be seen by my partner, and I did spend a lot of time in the days between Christmas and New Year's knitting on it. We were playing games, we were hanging out on the sofa, we were talking with friends, we were having coffee with friends and family, we were sitting on trains, going back and forth between our respective families, and I was knitting. We then went to Norway for a few days over New Year's. We went to Tromsø, which is well above the Arctic Circle. It's pretty much as north as I can imagine. There is still a bit of Norway north of Tromsø, but there is no Sweden, there is no Finland that far north. So we went north of Sweden, and Sweden is pretty far north. It was magical. It was so snowy, it was so lovely, it was so dark. We had very, very, very little daylight, which I knew going into it, but it was still an odd experience not ever seeing like the crisp sunlight, because in Stockholm where I live, we still get a few hours of actual risen sun, but in Tromsø the sun doesn't come over the horizon, it just sort of does one of those underneath the horizon. So it was always sort of dusky and then just pitch black. I'm currently on day 4 or 5 of this season's worst flu or cold. My update for the Wanderer pullover is that I've had quite a lot of knitting time. Hang on, I'll put you somewhere more comfortable for me. I'm sorry, I'm not going to go get my tripod for this. It's just too much for me today. Wanderer pullover. Oh my god. So I've been trying to be strategic about this, as strategic as I can be with my current brain fog. So I cast on the new version in the round on Boxing Day or on Christmas Day, Christmas Eve. We celebrate the 24th in Sweden. So as soon as my partner had gotten the first version, I saw that it was too small, and I knew that I'm going to reknit this. I'm going to reknit it in the round. So I cast on the first version. No, hang on, how many times have I done this? I cast on the first version, yes, for this on Christmas Eve. I did the ribbing and I did some of the stockinette, and then I think I had him try it on and it was too small. Is that right? Hang on, let me look for clues. See, this is how aware I have been in the last few weeks. I just don't remember anything. It's like I'm burnt out again. But I'm not. I'm just ill. Okay, so I don't think that I cast this on twice. I think this was my first try. Because I only have the two red ends and they end at the same point. And if I had cut my yarn or broken it for a different size the first time around, they wouldn't have ended up at the same point. So that is my biggest clue that I did this in one go. So I timed this by seeing how far I got while my partner was explaining Pandemic, the game, to the other people that were there. And that was the entire cast on of the 240 stitches and joining in the round. And then I did the 1x1 rib, which is just as in the last version. The main colour, the brown, is a knit and the contrasting colour, the aubergine, is a pearl. These 10-ish rows took the remainder of the game. So we were quite a chatty bunch. I think we ended up being 5 players and you can be only 4. So my partner and I teamed up and I was mainly there as a consulting epidemiologist. So I did a lot of knitting while we were mulling things over and deciding things. And when it says on the package that the game takes 45 minutes, that is a blatant lie. I do not think that we will ever get through one of those games in 45 minutes. And we played it once on the easiest level and twice or 3 times on the intermediate level. We only won once. But we did win once. That is a good thing. So this is the Pandemic game, and then we probably did another Pandemic game at this point. I did a lot of sitting on a train, and then we came home, so we came home from visiting my parents in the south of Sweden, and we then quite quickly bounced to northern Norway, to Tromsø. And just yesterday, I joined this ball and knit this far. I did the first repeat of the chart, which is done before you break for the sleeves. This was as easy as I could handle, or as difficult as I could handle for my current state of mind. So I had my partner try it on yesterday. We figured out that this was long enough so I could start on the colourwork, and I have today knit the first part of the sleeve twice. So I cast on the first iteration this morning, and then I knitted about half this long, and then I started on the sleeve portion with the increases. Then when my partner came home, I had him try it on, and the cuff was too tight. It wouldn't fit if you were to wear something beneath it, so either a long sleeve t-shirt or a button-up shirt or even a watch. So I decided that this is apparently the year of reknits, so why not do it properly? So I unraveled it and reknit it almost double as long, and also 10 stitches wider. So I went from a 50 stitch circumference to a 60 stitch. I'm still going to increase until I have 110 stitches in circumference. So this is 240. I have completely gone off the recommended stitch number. I am doing it sort of just to see the ratio between the sizes or the portions of the sweater. But this is not a size that is included in the actual pattern, so I made it up. And this is also a made up size. So I'm doing the increases in the same ratio or the same speed. you probably, I don't know, do you know what I mean? I don't. As the pattern recommends, to get the slope right. And then when I hit 110, I am going to continue knitting just straight until it's long enough. And then I will do a second sleeve, and then these are going to be joined right to the body, and then I'm knitting the entire raglan piece, the yoke. But since this pattern is written flat, I need to do some figuring out when it comes to the maths, because the decrease ratio of the different pieces is different. The raglan decreases, I'm going to have to figure out at a later point. I am going to continue with this until I reach 110 stitches around, and then just knit. I have not too much left on this ball, but I have, I think, 1 or 2 more balls left of the brown before I need to start cannibalizing the old sweater. And before I do that, I think I wanted to show you a before and after, or a comparison of the 2 sweaters. But that is where I am with the Wanderer, this beautifully snowy blue sick day in Stockholm. You get 3 different charts for the body. This is chart A, and you do the same thing for the sleeves. So I have the first sleeve finished now, the cuff with the sleeve increases up until the colourwork chart. Am I quite finished with it? Yes, I am. I will be transferring this onto a spare cable so I can use these needles, because I have finished the second cuff, or I have lost yarn chicken against the second cuff, because this is how much yarn I have left of the red, the aubergine colour, and I need another 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 stitches, so another 5 pearls of the red to be a full row in, because this is where I began the row. So hang on, this is tricky to show you. In this gap is where I began the row, and this is the stitches I'm not going to get to with this little yarn. So I lost yarn chicken for the cuff, but honestly I'll just place the beginning of round marker here, and that's going to be on the inside of the cuff, where then the increases are done, and no one is going to know except the people watching this video. So I am reclaiming my stitch marker. I have more. I always have more stitch markers. But I don't want to find them. And these cords I have found so very useful. I got them for the first time in the summer when I had been influenced. Don't know by whom, but the cord, the putting things on a cord and having the cord be really long is just so convenient to get them out of the way so I can get my needles back for something, or like this instance where I don't want to waste one of my actual needle cables for the project, because I just need them to I just need the loose stitches to not run while I do the second sleeve. Okay, so 2 out of 3 finished, and I'm now going to start knitting for the second sleeve. It starts with just a few or 2 rows of stockinette in the round, or in the pattern it's worked flat, but that was never going to happen, because why would I work something flat if I can work it in the round? I'm going to seam it anyway, so why would I not work it in a tube to begin with? It's just silly. I don't understand why this pattern had to be worked flat to begin with. The raglan increases or decreases, I suppose, would be tricky to write out, because as far as my fever-addled brain understands it and remembers it, the decrease rate is not the same on the body as on the sleeve. So the sleeve goes from 100 and something stitches, 110 stitches, to just 6 stitches at the very top of the raglan here, in the same amount of rows that the body goes from, what is it, 120 or 110 to 50 something. So the decrease rate is different, but that shouldn't be too difficult for me to figure out, and it shouldn't be too difficult to actually write out either. But who am I to question a pattern writer? Because I am not a pattern designer yet. I want to release a pattern, but I have some hopes for the next coming days where my mind will be a bit crispier than it has been the last few days. And I hope that I can make sense of the raglan decreases for myself in the round. So I will knit until this ball is finished, and then I'm going to start unraveling my work. But to do that, I need to undo all of the ends that I wove in, because I was so good about weaving in my ends. All of them are woven in. This looks quite satisfying, doesn't it? On the inside, these are my floats. Look at them, they're so neat, so tidy. I'm so proud. I did a great job, except for the fact that it was too small. But other than that, it was a great job. I'm treating you to post-dental surgery puffiness, slicked, greasy hair, and terrible phone camera management. And it looks like I have a little mullet going on. Anyway, I just wanted to update you that I have successfully joined the sleeves, and I have placed my stitch markers. I am now going to, this is the decreases or the cast off under the arm, and I'm now going to do my raglan decreases. I figured out the raglan decrease situation, how much I needed to decrease for each section, because the sleeves are decreasing quicker than the main body portion. And I have written a little cheat sheet for that. So that's what I'm going to do now. I haven't, it gives you 3 charts and asks you to keep them centered as you do your raglan decreases, but they don't tell you how they relate to each other. So the charts are going to be separate entities from each other. They're not going to relate perfectly. I will try to, I will keep it centered on the front and back, and then I will do whatever I can on the sleeves. I'm very glad that I did all of the figuring out yesterday before I had the surgery, because I am not very clever today either. So I've gone from done because I'm sick to done because I'm recovering from the little drug cocktail that they gave me to deal with the surgery. And now I just have to follow my own writing. So pray for me. I'll see you soon. Coming live from my sofa to show you my current update. It's the 18th of January and I have made great progress. This is such a big project now. This is the con of working it in one piece now, because it's just very heavy. But I have finished the first X pattern repeat, then the big crisscrossy, and then I'm on the second X pattern repeat. And if you saw my first video series on this pattern, you'll know that I actually messed up the first X series. That's a sport, isn't it? Motorsport. The first X I messed up and accidentally made it with the brown as the background colour. It was supposed to be red, but then when I looked at it compared to the correct version where the red was the background colour, I actually preferred the brown at the bottom. So what I did this time around is actually do the brown as the background colour the first time around to gradually introduce the red into the colourwork. So down here it is brown, and then up here I've made it with red as the background colour. So this is the work so far. I am a few rows down from starting to decrease every single round on the sleeve portion. The main body is still going to decrease every other round, but soon I'll start decreasing every round on the sleeve to get it to cinch in quicker. The tension is not the same as it was in my original version. The colour work, when I worked it flat, worked very neatly and with the same tension as my stockinette knit, and here it is cinching in. I think you can see some of this bunching up together. I haven't really noticed that before now. How if I you know what, I'm not going to fret about it just now. I'm going to sit tight and let this work up, and then if I hate how it looks and my partner doesn't think it fits well, then I will rip back and redo it in one needle size up. I am not a stranger to redoing any of this, so it's fine. I wanted to show you on this crisscrossy section, you can see that the middle of the X is quite vague compared to the middle of this X. So you can see this round is the same as this one. So what happened is I had the correct distance between the white stitches, but they had sort of moved over because I think I misread my knitting. So I noticed that 2 rows too late, and I could really tell, and it did bother me. But instead of ripping back 2 rows of these 400 and something stitches that I was on this early on in the colour work, I am now quite, it's decreased quite a bit. But with this portion, I had nearly 400 stitches, and I wasn't going to rip back those 2 rows if I could avoid it. So what I did was go and pick up stitches 3 rows down, release the 2 rows above, and then knitting each row as was intended. So the first row I knitted backwards, which was a very fun experiment because I did actually get a hang of knitting backwards. And let's see, the knitting that direction worked pretty well. I only had a bit of slack in the white, so I have this much, too much of the white, which makes sense because the white is not as dominant as it should be. I couldn't figure out yarn dominance knitting backwards. That was just too difficult. But then knitting the correct way, I ended up with 0 slack. I can't even find where I am, where I did that on this side, because my tension was so even that I could recreate my tension with the exact amount of yarn that I had used the first time around. So that felt like a little pat on the back situation for me, that I figured out the situation and the problem, and I was able to do it with so little yarn slack or surplus. So I did this because I knew that either it's going to work and then I don't have to frog back, or it's not going to work and I have to frog back either way. So I didn't have anything to lose. So I did that and I managed to fix it-ish. I mean, the X's aren't as crisp as they should be, so I will probably let this, and this is my beginning of round marker, so this is the back side, and I'm perfectly fine with one of the repeats being a little less crisp. I mean, it is unfortunate that it's the back, like on the back, not a smaller portion on the sleeve, but at the same time, this is just going to be visible from the back. If it were on the sleeve, it would be visible from both sides. So from the front, this is how it looks, and I'm feeling good about it. I am working from my unraveled yarn from the old version. I do have a sleeve cap of the first version, so I could actually compare my gauge, knitting flat and knitting in the round. I'm going to do that because that could be very interesting. Hang on. So I'm going to place my measuring tape somewhere in the middle of my gauge swatch or my sleeve and see what 10 centimeters gives me. So 26.5 rows for 10 centimeters and 25 stitches for 10 centimeters for my knitting flat. Okay, 28 rows for my in the round knitting and 26 stitches. So I do actually knit tighter in the round than I do flat. Interesting. Same needle size, same pattern, same yarn, literally same yarn. But since I was worried about it being a bit too big, this could actually be good news, because when I looked at it in the beginning of the colourwork portion, I thought that this was just going to be way too big and nearly had a little crash out, as the kids say, because I thought that I would have to reknit everything. So this does give me hope that it will fit better. So I'm going to continue knitting this. I'm watching the Men's Pursuit biathlon race today, and it's very knitting compatible TV. We are on the home stretch. I have been very disciplined in my knit, and the sweater is nearly finished. I am just working the collar. It's going to be a 1x1 contrast rib, again, just like the cuff and the bottom. I have this much of my reclaimed brown yarn and this much of my reclaimed aubergine. And I have this sleeve cap left, so I can always go back and unravel this for the white or for the red. But I didn't want to buy any more yarn, so when I realized that the red was running out, I actually modified the pattern again to be, so this red crisscrossy section, the first one was brown, you heard me talk about that earlier, then I did a red, and then this one up here was supposed to be red as well, but I thought, nah, I'll just keep it brown instead because I have a bunch of the brown yarn, but I don't have very much of the red. So the red yarn is running out. I switched from my 4mm needle to a 3.5, just like I had done for the sleeves or for the cuff. I cast on and began everything with a 3.5, and then for the main body I did a 4mm needle, and now I'm back with a 3.5, and I'm working it on a very small magic loop, or not even a magic loop but a traveling loop, and I don't like it. It's too tight. I hate it. It's very uncomfortable, so I am going to go in with my DPNs. So these are 3.5mm. That was quick. These are 3.5mm needles as well, and I am going to knit them into this neckline or collar. I'm going to see how far this takes me, because after I do the collar or the 1x1 rib, I plan on knitting a rolled hem in just a stockinette with the white to get that contrast. And I'm going to see how that looks. So I will see how far I get with this. If I don't like the length that I've gotten, or if my partner doesn't like the length, then I will unravel this, because I don't have any use for this. So I should just unravel and try to get as much use possible from the yarn, but I will see about that if I need to. And then I'm going to wet block it. What I foresee happening is having to reknit the sleeves. They are currently in their unblocked era. They are too big and floppy compared to the yoke that is much tighter. It doesn't look strange with the body, which I'm happy about. The body fits good, fits well, but the sleeves sort of have this scrunching in where the colourwork starts and sort of look a little bit balloony. That could be mitigated if I sew the seam, because this is still open, the underarm seam, but I'm going to sew that, and I'm going to wet block it to see how the colourwork especially relaxes into itself. If it doesn't look good, I am going to reknit this. I will just see how it looks after blocking, and I will take it from there. Here we are. Signed, seal, delivered. I'm losing my balance. I finished the collar. It is quite tight. It's nearly suffocating me. I finished it with the Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. Good stuff. I think it's going to work well with the rolled hem that I'm intending for this to be. I am now going to block it before I do anything else, before I do any weaving in of the ends. I'm going to block it. I'm going to try and stretch the collar a little bit, because if it's tight on me, it's going to be tight on my partner too. He doesn't have a super thick or wide neck either, but I think for comfort's sake, it should be a little bit more relaxed. Same thing with the yoke. I want that to relax a little bit. I don't want the length to change. I don't want the width to change, especially not on the sleeves. I'm quite convinced that I will have to reknit the sleeves to be less dramatic. These are sleeves for my liking, but not necessarily for my partner's liking. He likes more straight lines, and I like a bit of an absurd sleeve. So that is the goal for my blocking. And yeah, and maybe get the hem to relax ever so slightly too. But this is where we are. Some puckering, some unevenness in the yoke, but mainly what I'm looking for is for the yoke to relax and for the collar to relax. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that went like I expected. They are very much too long. For the sleeves, this marker is how long I want them to be, and I will have to take all of that off. And the length wise is fine. It's good for my partner. It's too long for me. It's sort of a tiny dress for me. And the neckline did stretch a little bit. The colourwork did even out. And now I just have to redo these sleeves. I have placed 2 lifelines and I'm now unraveling between. So I am picking up the stitches, or picking out the stitches, taking them out from just below my lifeline, because I'm starting at the top of the sleeve and I will be unraveling down to the next lifeline. So from this gaping hole right here down to this lifeline, I will unravel. This is quite meditative. It was quite stressful to cut into my knitting, but I know the anatomy of stitch, and I know that if I cut below a secured stitch, it can't run. And I'm picking it up from the top down, and it is knit bottom up, so the stitches are secure and everything is good. I sort of had to take a break from this project for a little while, and I felt bad about not finishing my partner's Christmas present on time, of course. So instead of powering through with this, because it wasn't giving me joy at that particular moment, I actually cast on and finished a simple garter stitch scarf with an I-cord edge, with a lovely combination of yak and silk mohair. So yak from Lang Yarns and silk mohair from Malabrigo. That was a really lovely experience, and I'm very pleased with how it came out. And so is he. So he's had something to wear of mine, of my creation, in the last few weeks, while I was mustering the courage to finish this project.
I'm the perfect person to do that for me. So I was like, do we? But it was fine. But I remember the things I talked about in that video, like maybe romanticizing the trip or purchasing things that would be specifically for a time that, like, we're gonna have to. I'm not gonna have to. I'm gonna probably, like, you're not gonna wear, and that's gonna bother me. And then you have to decide what to do. Like,
This has been such a labour of love. I'm finished, and thank God, all of the modifications, all of the corrections, all of the fixes, all of the ends, all of the shortening, all of the reknitting is finished. It's looking great. My partner looks great in it. He's worn it to work 3 or 4 days, and smashing. Absolutely smashing. 10 out of 10 I'm giving myself for this version. This project felt like a testament to my skill. I normally don't really reflect on where I am in skills because I usually knit things that are quite easy, fairly straightforward, and where I don't have to do a lot of the problem solving and figuring things out, making, remaking, tweaking, because I usually follow a pattern or a well-established formula for myself, for example, with my socks. But with this pattern, I modified everything. I changed everything so it would be the best version, the best suited version for my partner. And I feel quite empowered. I said that I wanted this year to be a year where I really challenge myself, and I want to design my own pattern. I want to design and release a pattern to the world and to see if I like writing patterns and if I like all of that work surrounding writing a pattern and releasing it and having it public to people. And this project really made me feel like I can do that, because the original fit didn't work. So I reworked it with other stitches, with proportions that worked for what I needed. The original construction wasn't ideal, so I reworked it to be a construction that I want. The sleeve length ended up too long, so I reworked them, I shortened them, I was successful in sweater surgery. That is so cool. And I am just very proud with this finished object. And since I released the first version of my Wanderer saga, I have gained another 200 subscribers, mostly from short form. Granted, most of people don't watch my long form, but if you are one of the new people since the first version, welcome. I'm happy to have you. So glad you watched this video. And if you've been here since the first version, we did it, Joe. I did it. I finished it, and it looks great, and my partner looks great in it, and I can finally focus on other things. 2 months late, but still, I'm very happy with my work. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this mammoth video and for following along on this project. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you want to see more of these videos, you're going to see all of the knitting shenanigans that I get up to, and I have another few big projects planned, some colour work, some lace, some cable. I am thinking about drafting a cable cardigan for myself because I haven't seen a pattern that I like and I want to make a cabled cardigan. So stay tuned for that. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.